What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we got a pretty cool project on the driveway that we're going to be spending a little bit of time on. But before we get into this car, I'm going to show you guys the CRX real quick, or the other one. So you guys should be seeing this car in the next video after this one. And I kind of spent some time last night to throw some of the stuff that was sitting in the garage on the car, just to get it out of the garage. And I did do the booster and everything. Ooh, this engine bay is fire in the sun. But yeah, you guys can see a small progress update. I was just trying to stay busy yesterday installing all this stuff while I was waiting for this car to show up. But this car, guys, right here, if you guys even recognize this car, yes, it's been on the channel before, but the previous owner of this car, if you guys know, used to be Ryan from Rydwire, and this was his car about 10 years ago, and it used to have the Mugen MF10s on it in white. It was featured in the magazine. I'll toss in a little picture now. But this car belongs to my buddy Jesus. If you guys remember him as Jesus Christ here on the channel, this is now his car. Actually, it's been his car. He's been driving it. For the most part, this car looks exactly the same the way it was many years ago. It still has the chrome cage in it. I mean, there were a few changes, obviously, throughout the owners that owned this car. This car actually came from, I believe, where is it at? RPM Garage. I believe these guys are in SoCal. They did track the car. I believe it has a different setup in it from when Ryan used to own the car, but regardless, the car runs and drives and is still on the road most definitely. Don't worry, guys. The corner lamps are here, and they're just not on it because we are still fitting the bumper for something a little special. You guys want to see what's under the hood? Hit the like button now. Don't worry, I'll wait. All right, let's show you guys. Oh yeah, yep. Yes, this car is going turbo, guys. This is a GTX 3582R. I believe this is like an older model, but it is a perfectly spooling working turbo that he got for a really good deal. The turbo manifold is a high quality manifold. I don't remember what the name of the company was, but I'll put it on the screen here. Simon from Nomis Industry hooked him up with that, and that was pretty much like the biggest puzzle to go in turbo. And once he got this first, turbo came after, and then he hit up Zach from Speed Factory, hooked him up with the intercooler. So we got a Speed Factory intercooler on here, and today we're going to be doing the charge pipe from here to the throttle body and the charge pipe from here to the turbo, as well as finishing the rest of the downpipe. Now the downpipe is not crazy badass or whatever. Jesus Christ himself made a quick little 90 turnout because it is super close to the master, and then he added this little piece, drove it all the way to my house like this, dying because all the fumes were going into the car through that hole, this hole right here. And today I'm just pretty much gonna make a quick downpipe and connect it to his current exhaust system. And he did bring me some exhaust tubing, so this is not going to be like a TIG welded setup. This is just going to be a quick MIG setup. We are going to 2.5 transition to 3 under the car, so I'm going to try to salvage as much as I can off of this because it is kind of destroyed right there. Oh, these are 10 mils. Huh. No screws on the side of the bumper. Okay. Holy crap. Damn, J-Rod with the custom intercooler bracket. That's what I'm talking about. That thing is solid on there, boy. Now, one thing about me, I've said it plenty of times before, I'm not crazy OCD at all, but I am to an extent. So, first thing I noticed, the intercooler is off-centered from the front of the car. The thing about me is, like, I want my stuff to be symmetrical if it could be symmetrical, right? But granted that this is an EF, our bumper is not, you know, long enough to have enough space behind the bumper, or the car is not wide enough to fit the intercooler and then go dual back door on both ends. Now, it would have been practical if this end were back door, because then this would be centered, but because they're both inlet and outlet pointing on the driver's side, it has to be offsetted because we're trying to go through the radius support instead of having to cut out the grill, this little duck grill thing right here, to fit the pipe to go around, kind of like how my wagon is. So the way that Jesus Christ himself did was he made it where it was offset a little bit, which is okay at this point. This is the extent that I'm talking about. It's okay, because he still has his grill, so it's not going to be super noticeable. The only thing you're really going to see is the bar and plate, but he did run the couplers to kind of show me how he wanted to route this, and this is the general idea of how his piping is going to be ran. Now, coming to the inside of the bay, you can see that it's pretty much going to be easy to connect all four of these guys together. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this one right here, probably going to trim it down, make it a 90. I have a coupler for that. This one's a little tricky because it comes really close to the mount, but we can clock the turbo, get this more pointed in the direction of this guy. But I'm probably going to cut this to somehow, you know, give it a little 45 to go straight into this instead of being a weird S shape with the coupler. So that we'll show you guys. But down here, he wants me to get rid of this because it's black. He wanted to be all polished, as well as I can't weld that. And after this, there is a coupler he wants to eliminate right here. So before we get down with the downpipe, we're going to do all the aluminum pipings first. Oh, what? Is this bigger? So what I did right here was I clocked this charge pipe, and I made it go this way, right? So if you look at it, it's almost a 90, and it kind of goes in line with this guy because it's kind of going in the same direction. Hopefully this is not going to be like in a weird angle once I clock it, but right now my focus is this guy. So again, he provided a bunch of pipings. We got a 45, a 90, 45, a 90, and a 90. So I'm gonna go ahead and kind of, let me see, this one right here, I'm gonna see how far do I gotta cut down there, right, to get this height right to get in here. So something like that. PSA, if you guys want to buy universal intercooler piping on eBay or something, be sure to buy CRX Racing. 1, they are thicker. 2, they are raw aluminum, so you can weld this without having to super clean off the coatings and stuff that comes on the cheaper kit, especially when it's like a customer that comes here and you guys provide your own piping kit. CRX Racing, or if it's another company off of eBay, just make sure you guys read the description, make sure that it has no coatings on it, and it just makes my life easier. It makes the process go by a lot faster. So I lost my deburring tool, but the file works. This end to the throttle body is a little too long, which is not a big deal, but check this out, near perfect. Oh yeah. Whew. So I pulled this pipe out a little bit, and the bead is now sitting right here instead of over here. And right now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn this bottom a little bit more, line it up. I'm gonna mark it just in case I take it apart. I know where they're supposed to be lining up at, right? I'm gonna mark it right there. And then I'm going to use some PTFE or PFPTFE. I don't remember what this is called, but this tape, you can weld with it on the pipe and not leave any sticky residue after, or residual, residue, sticky icky, whatever you want to call it. But I'm going to tape these two together so that way they're in their formation, so I can mock up the bottom pipe. So once I square all of this, that piping, right, this one doesn't have a bead on it, so I'm gonna have to mark. Let's see, it's sitting right here, so I'm gonna have to mark back here, and I'm gonna use this guy welded on so we can have a bead for this coupler, so we don't go popping off when this car makes a ton of boost. So bottom side. Now to clock the turbo, you guys can see it's kind of off. This pipe right here hits the bracket, right? And we just need to scoot it a smudge. So typically the bolts on the back of the compressor housing and the exhaust housing is a 1/2 inch, and you pretty much just loosen it up. That's the wrong way. Loosen it up, and you should be able to move the compressor housing. So I think we're going to be somewhere there, and you can just lock it in by tightening up just one. Oops. And it shouldn't go anywhere. So I removed the pipings off the car, and this came out the way it was sitting in there. So I'm looking at this and I'm like, okay, well, this is some weird bends here, but if I'm looking at it right here, this is like a 45, kind of matches up. Oh, wait, I thought it was matching up. Oh yeah, so right there, right? And where I'm gonna have to cut right here for this bend, I can use this to compensate this over here, right? This goes to the turbo. So to eliminate this coupler, because he told me he wanted to eliminate this because he didn't have piping, he just kind of mocked something up real quick. To eliminate that, I'm gonna use this over here, and then this is not a 90. I'm not sure what this is. I don't have one of those little angled tool thing, if that even exists, but I noticed that this is not a true 90 either. So let me show you guys here. I don't know, this is not a true 90 either, but this is not a full 90, and I think this bend is what I'm going to need because he wants to keep it polished. That is a true 90. I should have shown you guys earlier that comparison between this one and this one, but this guy should be able to, okay, well, that's a weird bend too. Okay, so I can use this bend and cut it there, right? You guys can't see that, but anyways, I'm gonna use these two right here and mock up a whole new one instead of trying to mock it up with this guy. But this gives me my general angles because this was connected from the intercooler to the turbo perfectly fine. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and measure this right here and trim it. I'm a fool. So I was like 45, 90, right? This is actually a 45. You see that? So we have an extra 45 right here. I'm going to use that bend right there, cut it to length, and yeah, just gotta put a bead in the end of that. You know, I got a few of them sitting around. I cut this one off a little earlier, but I'm gonna use 45 to mock up this piece, guys, and I'm gonna put it inside the car, see how it looks, and then you know what I'm saying, like, we'll go put some tape on it, mark it up, and all of that. We'll pull it all out and get it all welded up so we can move to the exhaust side. So check this out. We have that 45 right here going backward, taped up to the bigger 45 that comes up this way. You can see it down there, and then we have this pipe which is going to connect the rest of the way. Now, if you guys know who Schmuck Build is, Jason Schmuck, he's a TIG welder and a fellow EF sedan owner back in the days, and he was like, if you're going to use a coupler anywhere in between joints, make sure you get the pipes as tight as possible for less chance of blowout. So this looks good, right? But I am going to trim this part down a little bit because this pipe is not truly straight. It's like at an angle, but I'm gonna trim it down a little bit just so I can have, you know, actually, you know what, it might just be all right. So I cut this leg off and I added the bead rolled end. So I'm going to be welding 2 beads on this pipe, which goes from the intercooler to the throttle body. I'll give you guys a little bit of weld action here. I haven't welded aluminum in a while, but you know what I'm saying, I kind of still got it, right? Alright guys, so I got the charge pipe installed temporarily with no clamps, just to make sure everything is good and everything looks freaking awesome. So everything down here seems to fit really well. You can see the bead is there, this one, the bead's right here, and definitely gonna put some vacuum lines right there so it doesn't chop into the frame, as well as the motor mount, but it isn't touching, and it's also not touching the radiator. So right now the last thing to weld here, aluminum, is the blowout valve. So with the blowout valve, I always put it on the charge pipe from the intercooler to the throttle body. I've seen it like freaking on the charge pipe that goes to the turbo. I've seen it you know, way on the intercooler somewhere, like full race, but I've always had it here, never really had an issue. And as tight as this engine bay is, I think it's more practical because I have all this space right here. So originally I was gonna put it on this dent because I dropped it earlier, but that is in the way of the reservoir. So I'm probably gonna just stick it right here, move it down a little bit so it doesn't stick up like a sore thumb, right? And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna weld it first, and then I'm gonna drill the hole because it gives me more meat to grab on and not burn through. And then you know, I think right here looks pretty good. Is it good or what? Is it good? It's good. I guess right here is where it's gonna be at. Blowout valve done. All right, so for the downpipe, I'm just trying to gather all the materials that I have, and right now I think what I'm going to do is, this is a transition. I mean, it's a booty one, but you know, we're not looking for a perfect downpipe here. It's just temporary. And this right here is a 2.5 to 3 inch, and this 3 inch has a V-band on it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this V-band off, right? Because I'm going to use this at the bottom. But what I'm going to do with this transition is I'm going to convert the 2.5 that's currently on here, this guy right here, and just go 3 inch right away because I don't have any 2.5 material, right? Right now it's not sitting straight because the V-band is hitting the manifold runner right there. So I'm gonna go 2 to 3, and then right here is probably gonna be like a 90 or a 45 or something, which then is gonna shoot down that way. So I'm gonna go ahead and just cut some of these up real quick, give it a quick tack to kind of give you a visual, because it's kind of hard to explain because I'm still brainstorming. So I found this piece right here from my exhaust system. This material actually came off my thermal R&D exhaust. So what I just did right now was I tacked one spot on this guy right here, the transition. So it's 2 to 3. It looks crooked, but it's just the way the silver part is cut, is crooked. But we have a good space between the manifold and this transition, plenty of space in the back. So what I'm gonna do with this guy, I'm gonna put a pie right here, somewhere there, get it really close to the manifold, away from the firewall, and that's gonna go down right there. So down there we just need a bend. I've been trying to tinker with this, trying to figure out the bends that I'm gonna need. I ended up doing 2 pies right there, or grinder pies, because I used a grinder, but I got them tacked into place. Got this giant bend right here, and then it comes down to a V-band, which the other end is already on there, right? Now I gotta figure out the piping angles I'm gonna need to kind of clear the subframe and then S this way underneath the car. But for the most part, we're not touching there, we're not touching here, and we're definitely away from the firewall, so that's good. Alright guys, so next day here, and this morning I started off with welding the downpipe. Now last night I spent a good amount of time trying to figure out the bends I'm going to need to make, you know, the downpipe from the bay, clear the cross member subframe right here, and then go underneath the car going backward. So a lot of these right here were just like scrap pieces that I had inside my scrap bin, which I always have right here. This is a scrap bin right here, and I had enough like small pieces to get the angles that I need to clear the subframe and then go underneath the car. So I made this tuck super close to the passenger side of the tunnel, so that way we can clear a transfer case once this transmission goes in. So I'm not even gonna lie, my welds are like bird poop today for some reason. I feel like I'm not getting any gas coverage because typically the welds come up a little bit like nice and shiny, but this time around it's just running hot with no coverage. But at the end of the day, I watched it fuse and they are penetrated. Yes, I said penetrated. I even Scotch-Brighted to kind of get all the ugly bird poop off of it, but regardless of that, all this is going to get wrapped up anyway. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to install this back into the car so I can go underneath and kind of mock up the flange. I don't know why I didn't do it yesterday, but I didn't do it yesterday. If Jesus Christ himself showed up today to give me the rest of the material, we're going to connect the downpipe to his current exhaust system, which is already 3-inch. But my goal is to get the flange on it just to have it there, and then once we get the rest of the stuff today or maybe off camera, and then we're going to connect it with the other 2 bolt flanges right here, because I'm going to be welding this guy right here to the end of this guy right there with this gasket with these 2 bolts, and have a full exhaust system so he can drive the car around, make sure everything's all good and dandy without getting pulled over. This thing looks crazy because normally downpipe goes under the manifold, this one goes over. Look at that Humpty Dumpty Dumpty Humpty Humpty Dumpty. Hey. So right here we have the downpipe installed. The top piece and the bottom piece is V-band right there. I got an O2 on here. I mocked it up first, measured it, and then I drilled it, took it out, bunged it, and the reason why we put it here instead of over there closer to the turbo is because we don't want it to be like super hard to get to. I think right here would be practical, and he could run the cable through the firewall with the shift cables right here. So that's that. The exhaust, I flanged it. You can see right here, tucked up pretty nice. The exhaust is hanging a little bit lower, but then again, there's really nothing connected to it, so it's just kind of hanging on its own. But the downpipe has the 2-bolt flange right there and really tucked up. So we were supposed to connect that to the exhaust system in the back over there. That's a high flow cat. We don't want to destroy that with boost, so we're going to salvage it, take it off, keep it, and then make it from here to there with a flex in the middle. And you guys can see the Y band is connected to the cat, so I have to remove that, run it through the firewall, and then to the bung. But aside from that, I think we're done as far as fabrication goes for Jesus' CRX. I don't have the little banjo fitting for the top of the blow-off valve yet, because he's going to be running push lock fittings, which is on the way, because he does have push lock fittings on his wastegate down there as well too. So he wants to kind of keep it all the same, and those aren't plumbed either. So it is way later in the day, and Jesus Christ decided that he wanted to bring all the materials finally. So I spent like maybe an hour or 2. I didn't really show it because it is very complicated rolling underneath the car, but we have a flex pipe. I connected a downpipe to the rest of the exhaust system, full 3-inch, and I totally forgot about the dump tube, so I had to make that as well too right there. So we are done. I just finished like maybe 5 minutes ago, and the exhaust is not hitting anything. Freaking awesome. And I think before I put this car back on the ground and all the bumper and stuff, I'm gonna turn it on. That no idle air control life. But damn, this thing is so quiet. Check it out. That's crazy. Sounds like it's leaking from the V-band, but this is 2 different V-band that was granted. Got the O2 sensor hooked up, or this is the Y-band actually. And other than this, the car sounds freaking awesome. Also guys, check this out. All-wheel drive trailing arms, baby. All-wheel drive trailing arms. Jesus Christ himself about to take it on his first drive with the full exhaust and the turbo kit. Now the charge pipe is connected. He's got horn. The charge pipe is connected, guys, but as long as he remembered to stay out of boost, it should be all right. I hope so. If you guys love this color, be sure to give this video a thumbs up. I know a lot of people has been trying to figure out what color this is. It's really not hard to find. If you guys find the article on Super Street, it says it right there what the color of this car actually is. Oh, that K-Series rumble. My goodness. Oh, it sounds so good. And guys, that is gonna wrap up this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. It was a quick one for him so we can get him ready for when the race season starts to open again. And that's all that we're doing here on the channel. We got this car going, his car still running, that car is up and going, just waiting for a tune. I'm getting this CRX ready to rock and roll. We'll continue it real soon, and the reason why I say soon is because the next car we're gonna be working on is his car. If you guys want to see some paint action, be sure to hit the subscribe button now. But with that being said, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.